Hello and welcome back to MF. I'm Kachi, a certified electrician who has ventured into farming. So as we are entering into winter, I thought we'd do a training on how to prevent water belly in broiler chickens. A lot of farmers last year lost a lot of chickens due to water belly. And so I thought we'd conduct a training on how to prevent water belly in broiler chickens. And so let us start by understanding water belly in broilers. By understanding what water belly is and how it comes about in broilers, we'll be better equipped in order to prevent water belly from occurring on our farms. So water belly has no cure, and the best way to deal with water belly is by making sure it does not happen in the first place. So usually you get to have farmers trying to get to ask what medication they can give to their birds in order to cure water belly. But water belly, once it has occurred on the farm, it has no cure. The only thing you can do once it has occurred is to limit the damage by keeping the number of mortalities of the birds that you have on the farm low. So the best way to deal with water belly is to make sure that it does not happen in the first place. And how do we do this? Understanding the factors that bring about water belly is the first step in preventing water belly. So if we just come and give you certain principles without you knowing the factors which lead to water belly, you may not be able to prevent it completely. But as a farmer, once you understand what causes water belly, it will be easy for you to look out for those factors in order to prevent water belly from occurring on your farm. So water belly occurs in broilers when requirements to produce energy are increased. I don't know if you remember metabolism from your biology days in school. So usually what causes water belly is when the demand to produce energy is high. And this is during the first week when you have just placed your birds on the farm. So this can happen due to cold temperatures. It can happen due to low oxygen in the chicken house and so on. So most people associate water belly with heat. And to some extent that may be true because usually what happens is farmers are there trying to raise the heat, and there are certain times when they neglect to raise the heat. And so that is what results into water belly in broiler chicken. So how does this happen? So when the demand to produce energy is increased, this leads to an increased demand for oxygen, which leads to enlargement and partial failure of the heart, which leads to leakage of fluids from the liver into the belly, thereby resulting in water belly. So that's how water belly comes about in broiler chickens. So once you understand this, now is a question of asking what actions can you take in order to prevent water belly from occurring on your farm. So the actions usually in the first 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of brooding, that is when you can take actions in order to prevent water belly from occurring on your farm. So let's talk about brooding. So what is brooding? So brooding is the period during which chicks are unable to self-thermoregulate. So because chicks are unable to self-thermoregulate, you have to provide the external heat source in order to keep the chicks warm. If that external source is not sufficient, this will go back to the point that we were talking about, where the demand for energy is increased. So it is really important that you provide the correct heat for the chickens immediately they are placed on the farm, especially in the first 14 days. These are really important days, and you as a farmer, you're like the mother hen, you have to provide the correct temperatures for the birds. So during the brooding, during this period, it is the responsibility of the farmer to provide all the needs of the chicks. Now, it is obvious as a farmer when you're keeping them that you have to provide all the needs, but there are certain emphases which are put on certain areas, neglecting other areas during the cold season or winter, which usually lead to water barely occurring on the farm. And so ensuring that chicks have the correct environmental conditions during brooding is key to a good chick start. So in order for you to prevent water belly on the farm, you have to ensure that the chicks get off to a good start, and ensuring that requires you to provide the correct environmental conditions during this brooding period. So it is important that chicks reach the 7th day target weight. So the chicks will only reach the 7th day target weight if they get off to a good start. And a good start starts the moment you place the chickens on the farm. Are they able to find feed and water? Is the crop filled within the stipulated time? Because you're supposed to have 100% crop fill within the first 24 hours of having the chicks on the farm. The question is, do you as a farmer know about the crop fill, how to check the crop fill, and how to meet all these targets? All these targets are important if you are to prevent water belly from occurring on your farm. So the key to successful brooding is the uniform distribution of heat, feed, water throughout the chicken house. So during brooding, there are people who use spot brooding. So you find some areas of in the chicken house warm, some other chickens are not warm, and so on and so forth. So it's really important that you provide a uniform method of distributing heat throughout the chicken house. Feed and water has to be present. Not forgetting the most important element, which is oxygen. You have to make sure that there is correct ventilation, even as you are having those birds on the farm. Okay, let us look at the pre-placement check. So you need to have a checklist before you bring the chicks on the farm. You need to ensure that certain things are in place and certain things are in order. So this these are the pre-placement checks that you're supposed to conduct before the chicks get to the farm. These will help you to be relaxed when the chicks get to the farm. You won't panic when the chicks get to the farm, and so the chicks will find the environment conducive for them to start feeding and drinking. And so conduct pre-placement checks, allow enough time to correct any issues before placement. So these pre-placement checks are supposed to be conducted with enough time before the chicks get to the farm, so that you make sure that everything is in order before you go and collect those chicks. Okay, thorough preparation and attention to detail are key attributes for a good start. So remember, what we are trying to achieve is a good start for the chicks. Once you give them a good start and all the environmental conditions are good, there is no way that you're going to experience water belly on the farm. So before the chicks even get to the farm, you have to conduct thorough preparation, and you need to pay attention to the details to ensure that by the time the chicks get to the farm, everything is in place and everything is in order. So you need to preheat the brooder a night before placement of the chicks. Any delays in placement can contribute to the dehydration of chicks, resulting in high chick mortality and reduced growth rate. So delaying placement of chicks can result in higher mortality and reduced growth rate. So what we want as farmers is for the chicks to die as little as possible, and also to have the maximum potential of growth achieved within the shortest possible time. So it is important that you do not delay placing your chicks if you are to achieve this. So let's talk about brooding management. You have the chicks that have been placed, and how do you achieve good brooding management? So the importance of brooding, of the brooding period, cannot be overemphasized. You'll hear us again, we'll keep on coming back again and again talking about brooding, because this is a very important period. And if you brood them well, they will grow well. So we'll keep on putting an emphasis on good brooding management. So the first 14 days of a chick's life sets the precedent for good performance. So if you make any mistakes in the first 14 days, it is quite hard to come and correct them at a later stage. And if the chicks are behind by 14 days, then chances are that you're going to spend more money on feed, and the chicks are going to delay getting ready, which is going to delay you getting your money back. Okay, extra effort during the brooding phase will be rewarded in the final flock performance. Customers look at the bird size, and you don't want to have ununiform birds. You need to have good quality of birds on the farm. So spare no energy, spare no expense during the first 14 days. Make sure that the management is spot on in the first 14 days. Just because we are putting emphasis on the first 14 days doesn't mean that the other days are not equally important. All the days are equally important. But at this particular point in time, we are only talking about how you can achieve this, preventing water belly from occurring on your farm. So while placing chicks and checking on chicks during the brooding phase, staff should talk at low level and move calmly through the chicken house to minimize stress. So it's really important that the chicks do not get stressed, because when you make noise, you disturb the rhythm of the chicks. Those which were sleeping will probably wake up. Those which were feeding will probably stop. Those which were drinking will stop, and they'll become stressed. So it's important that you walk as quietly as possible, even as you are doing your run in the chicken house, even as you are checking on the temperature, the water, and everything. It's important that you do everything calmly and you do not induce stress in the birds. So after ensuring that all chicks are placed and comfortable, staff should leave the chicks alone for a minimum of 2 hours to allow them to acclimate to their new surrounding and rest too. So chicks also need rest. Once you are well prepared to receive them, once they get to the farm, you place them and they're in the brooder. It's important that all staff, if you're working in the chicken house alone, you leave the chicks alone to rest, and then they have a rest, and then just follow them up maybe after 2 hours to go and check on the crop field if the chicks have found feed and water. Really important. Crop field, you need to check the crop field at least 2 hours after placement to see how many chicks are able to find feed and water. And then if a lot of them haven't been able to do that, you can make some necessary adjustments in order for the chicks. What we want the chicks to do is to get comfortable. We want the chicks to rest so that they get off to a good start. Okay. Check chicks 2 hours after placement, which will give them time to settle and identify the reception area. Ensure that the chicks are comfortable. That is what we are saying. Chick distribution and behavior should be closely monitored after placement for the first 24 to 48 hours of brooding. These again are very key hours. So it's like there are a lot of important times which we are emphasizing. So it starts with the time before the chicks get to the farm, how well prepared are you? And then it gets to the chick placement. Now we are talking about the first 24 to 48 hours, which is the first 2 days. It doesn't mean you get relaxed just because they have acclimatized to the new surrounding. You just need to keep on going, ensuring that the chicks are comfortable, and that is how you will achieve the maximum potential for these particular chicks. So it is normal to see some chicks sleeping, some eating or drinking, and some chicks actively exploring their new environment. So when you get in the chicken house and you find some chicks are sleeping, it doesn't mean they're dead. It doesn't mean you have to wake them up. It is normal chick behavior. So yeah, you also have to know what is normal chick behavior and what isn't. So yeah. If you observe chicks panting, huddling, chirping loudly, or irregularly distributed within the brooding area, investigate the cause immediately. So if you see something that is not normal in the chicken house, you have to investigate what is causing that. You have to make sure if it is a high heat in the chicken house, reduce the heat, because sometimes as farmers, we tend to provide too much heat just because we say that the chickens have to be comfortable. Remember to balance heat and ventilation, and that will not put a lot on the workload. So the idea is that if the chickens are in an environment where they are comfortable, they will not be required to increase the energy which they produce, which will in turn increase the demand for oxygen, which will lead to partial heart failure, which will in turn lead to water belly. So you need to make sure that the chicks are in a comfortable environment. So if not corrected, brooding management errors can have a negative impact on the flock welfare and performance outcome. What you want is the best outcome. So it's better you sacrifice within the first 2 weeks, within the first 2 days. It's better you sacrifice your sleep. It's better that you watch over the chicks closely and ensure that everything is fine. Yeah. So let us look at the things that you need to ensure that they are in place in order for the chicks to have a good start, and not just putting an emphasis on heat only. So in order for the broiler chick to reach its growth potential and minimum mortalities, you have to create a comfort zone where the chicks are comfortable. And then a comfort zone will allow the birds to eat, grow as they are supposed to. So when they are comfortable, they will eat and they will grow as they are supposed to grow. So during brooding, an emphasis is put on temperature while ignoring other important factors, especially during winter. So like I said, let us not just focus on heat alone. There are other important factors which we are going to look at, which will make sure that the broiler chicken reaches its potential growth. And so that if, as a farmer, you will come out smiling at the end of the day. Okay, so the following elements are equally important. So let's look at these elements which are all equally important, just as heat is important. So the first one is chick quality. You need to get quality. You need to look out for the best chicks on the market, even as you are ordering. And you need to go for a breed that you are comfortable with keeping. We know all breeds are good, but you need to go for a breed which you are comfortable with as a farmer. So correct stocking density is very important. You need to ensure that the area in which you're brooding the chicks is not too large and it is not too small. You just have to make sure that it is the right size of the stocking density, normal stocking density. If you're using electric brooding, that's about 35 birds per square meter. So get familiar with stocking density and the correct stocking densities so that you have the correct stocking density. All these factors will help you prevent water belly on your farm. So ventilation, good air quality, you need to have minimum ventilation. You need to make sure that air is coming in and out of the chicken house. There is oxygen which is replenishing the surrounding. There's oxygen, there's air getting in fresh air and removing the toxic gases from the chicken house. So lighting, you need to have good lighting. We say lighting good enough for you to be able to read a newspaper in the brooding house. You need to have correct lighting intensity. So that is what we can say, that is something that most people understand. The light has to be bright enough for you to read a newspaper without a struggle in the chicken house. So feed quality, good nutrition, you need high quality feed. Make sure you get the best feed on the market. If you want to compromise, do that a few weeks after you've had the birds on the farm. But as you are getting them started, make sure you get the best quality feed on the market so that the birds get off to a good start. You'll be paid for that once the chickens grow well. So temperature, you need to have the correct temperatures in the chicken house at all time. You need to make sure you're checking, observing the chick behavior. It's not just providing temperatures for the sake of providing temperatures. You need to provide temperature depending on with the chick behavior. So you have to observe the chick behavior as well. So water quality, you need to have good water quality. There's a lot of chlorinated water around. So make sure you're not using as much chlorinated water, especially during times of vaccination. You need to know whether the water is chlorinated or not. And you need to have water clean enough for human consumption and all. So yeah. So litter quality and make sure that the chick welfare is good. We have litter, you put the brooder paper there so that the chicks are comfortable and they are able to eat the feed which you put on the chick paper. And the welfare, you need to make sure that the chicks are not hurt, they are comfortable in the environment. It all comes back to comfort. So you need to make sure that all these factors are in place. So yeah, we thought of sharing that with you. We hope that you found this helpful. We'll get back the next time. Thank you so much for watching MF on YouTube. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and also you can follow us on Facebook. It is Mlamulire Farm. The same way it is spelled right here on YouTube. And you can also follow us on TikTok. It's still Mlamulire Farm. So thank you so much for watching. Till the next time. Yeah, bye-bye.